Good evening and salutations, my Days of Our Lives fans. Let's talk about Abby. And I'm gonna save this complaint towards the end if I remember it, but let's talk about Abby and her high moral self, where she feels that she is so moral that, she can just judge people on her high pedestal. So she walks up to Jack and she starts talking. Jack at this point, even though that, that's his daughter, he's like, I just can't with you. And he goes off on her. He's like, this is your fault, this is your fault, you shouldn't have told, you shouldn't open your mouth, blah, 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 this was one mistake, and to an extent, and I hate Snitty saying this, you can't put all this on Abigail. You just can't, if there was nothing there, if there was nothing there, then she wouldn't have had anything to tell. Like, you still did it, And we could sit there and argue the merits of right and wrong and whatever, but the point is, you did it, Like, you can't sit there and put that on her, like, come on. But he was like, towards the end of that conversation, he was like, yo, I can even look at you. I'm not going to lie. When he said that, I was just like, yes. Yes, that was probably my second favorite moment of this episode. Was that. And, Abigail's all like, what did she say? This line killed me. You shouldn't have been sleeping with anyone except for your wife. Or something along those lines. And I'm sitting there thinking, I'm sorry, sweetheart. Who's the parent here? And who are you to sit there and judge anyone on anything? And the fact that she came out of her mouth and said that, I was like, wow, Abigail, you know what? I know the things that he's saying is hurting you, and I don't even feel. I'm actually. I know this is gonna sound like a dick me saying this, but I'm actually happy that you're feeling so hurt right now, because you deserve all of this, all of it, every single emotion that you're feeling. You deserve that. And then she's all like, "Oh well, I started drinking, and I started drinking more and more and more." I'm sorry, sweetheart. You know that you're not supposed to be drinking while on your medication. But now you want to sit there and blame the alcohol on the fact that you literally destroyed your parents' lives. You want to sit there and put this on alcohol. No. This is on you. All this is on you. And she was all like, when there was another part that she said that just kind of irked me. When she was like, well, I found the letter. I was like, no. You was in somebody else's room looking for shoes that you shouldn't have been in there in the first place. Don't make it seem like the letter just flew out of her room and it just somehow flew onto your desk. Like, no. No, sweetheart. No, that's not how any of that worked. Okay? So don't sit there and try to act like you accidentally found it. Like, no. You looked through her stuff. You shouldn't have been in her damn room in the first place. Wow. And what's really sad? Is that towards the end, when she goes back, and, Gwen is being Gwen, like, oh, I blew up her life, this, that, and the third, I was like, oh, yeah, great, it's gonna be in a bitch again. That's, I can't even be sarcastic about this at this point. That's just typical Gwen. And it's just typical dumbness at this point. When she's sitting there talking to Abigail, and, Abigail was sitting there talking to her, I was like, up until this point, I was sitting there saying you were naive, and she was hating on you, and I somewhat, I felt bad for Abigail. I did. Yeah, she should have been a little more smarter and not just been all like, Gwen is great, Gwen does this, that, and the third. But I was like, you know what? It's still not right the way that Gwen is being towards Abigail. But after these couple episodes, I'm just like, you know what, Gwen? You know what, Abigail? You deserve everything that Gwen is giving you. Everything. Every single thing that Gwen is doing to you, I don't even feel bad. I really don't. Because, I'm going to curse a little bit, you literally, these last couple episodes have just showed me your ass. And just the worst version of you. And for her to stand there on that high moral ground like she's doing something right. And I've read the comments at the bottom, and I do agree. There is so many different ways she could have went about doing that. And even, I think Jack was like, you could have came to me. You could have came to us. I mean, the fact that she did that at a party, and you embarrassed both of your parents, and for what? What? I mean, yeah, you want to sit there and tell your mother. Did you have to sit there and wait until the party to do it? You couldn't just left. You embarrassed both of them. Like, on what planet did you think that was actually going to work out in a well-mannered way? How even Jack was like, so you thought everyone was just going to go back to the party and we're just going to just have a good time? Like, wow. Wow. I know that I kind of ranted about that for a little bit too long, but that just... You know what? I feel slightly better. So, it was worth it. Now my favorite part of this episode was the Xander and Charlie stuff. Charlie's on the phone. He's talking to Claire. And, he's asking her out. And Claire is like, well, I have to see what I'm doing on the weekend. I'm sorry, what? I have to see what I'm doing on the weekend. Well, the whole point of him actually calling you is so that way you can make plans for the weekend, to do something since you don't have any plans yet. That's like Smith is saying, you know what? I'm just going to wait till the weekend and see if there's that's something else that better shows, that comes along that's a lot better. I know we want to go to dinner, but I want to see if there's a better offer first. That's, honestly, tell you the truth, I'm not going to lie, that's the way that I took it. And so, Charlie being nice, Charlie, it's like, we could do something during the weekend or whatever, you can call me, just kind of yammers on. Xander shows up, and, Charlie's sweating bullets left and right. I have a theory about Charlie towards the end of this rant. So, Xander's like, so who's you on the phone with? He's like, oh, a girl. At this point, Xander's like, oh, okay, cool. So, tell me about this girl. Like, what's going on? This is Xander's advice, advice column or whatever, And he pretty much tells Charlie that, you need to be assertive and not really just kind of stumble on your words. Like, take charge. Charlie's like, I was just trying to be thoughtful and considerate, and, he just felt like the timing was off. But here's the thing. Xander was actually right in a lot of the stuff that he was saying. Now, granted, he did kind of bring up the fact that, Claire was in a mental institution, and she was in a loony bin, and, she did some stuff. And I was kind of just like, why did you feel you need to, like, tell her that? Tell him that. Like, that's something that he should have found out from her. Like, I understand, like, he doesn't want him to go in blind, but, like, I don't know. I felt like that was a conversation maybe they should have had if they went on their first date or whatever. Other than that, his advice was pretty solid, you know? And so he gets over there, he's like, you could just take the afternoon off. Then he gives the flowers that Philip had. He's like, nah, he's not gonna mind those. This one, I'm not gonna lie, I'm cracking up. I'm like, you know what? Thank goodness that Xander was in this episode. And I never thought I was gonna sit there and say, I mean, granted, I never had anything against Xander, but in his first kind of interactions that I've seen him, I was like, what is wrong with this guy? But he's starting to becoming my number 2 guy, besides, behind Steve. So anyway, he gives him some advice, and Charlie goes to head off to Claire's. Now Claire and Theo are talking about the past, and I mean, it's great for me because I don't really know all the stuff that happened, but I'm pretty sure the other people that have been watching the show for a while is like, cool, so we're just revisiting old stuff. That's great. And I'm not gonna lie, after a while I got kind of bored of it, to be honest. Listen, from what I understand, Theo apparently is still into him and he's still into her, whatever, because towards their long, boring conversation, they kiss. And, Charlie sees that. Charlie, there's no easy way to sit there and say this. Charlie kind of is he's giving me some psychopath vibes, Like, he's giving me some kind of, like, creep vibes, not gonna lie. I mean, if you remember that scene with Trip, shy, timid, Charlie, 1 minute, Trip continues to push Charlie, continues to push Claire as far as, like, you gotta believe me, this, that, and the third. It's like, he just hit puberty and was just like, like, I'm making it my business. And I was like, alright, bro, where did all that come from? And he just went into this, like this aggressive manner, like, out of it was like a switch flip. And I felt like, and this can't be me, I felt like when he saw those two kissing, that this was more than just, like, stunned. That look in his face looked like it was like I gotta sit there and find a way to hide to his body somewhere so that way the cops won't find it. He gave that psychopath look. And you know what? Here's the thing. I'm not rooting for either one of these guys to compete for Claire's affection because, well, honestly, to tell you the truth, I feel like they're both going to wind up losing. No matter who wins her, they're both just going to wind up losing because, one, I don't know. I don't really, like, I don't hate Claire, but, like, and granted, I will sit there and say the actress that plays her now plays her a lot better than the other version that was playing her, because I felt like she was very childlike. But with that being said, I don't really see much in her. I'm just like, when Claire was sitting there saying, Ciara was this and Ciara was that, and she was better than me, she was prettier than me, and I was like, no, you're kind of right about all those things. I mean, I haven't known you that long, but I can sit there and say that she was right about all those things, and she was damn sure prettier than her. She was a lot more prettier than her. I'm not gonna get into it, but the scale is not even close when it's compared to Ciara and Claire. But with that being said, I'm just like, I just kind of look at both of them, just like, y'all really competing for her? You sure? Like, does Salem have just a shortage in, like, women or something? Like, alright. I'm just gonna leave it at that. Oh, and the last thing I want to sit there and talk about Jake and Kate. So, I'm pretty sure a lot of people in the comment section is not going to be happy about this. So, Jake and Kate were talking. And then they had sex. I usually sit there and try to, like, mattress tag it with, nope, just, that's what happens. So after they, after they do it, Kate is all like, this can never happen again because, I'm really close to Chad and we're really good and, like as far as like a good kinship or whatever, and she doesn't want to ruin that. And, Jake is like, nah, we could just, we can keep this on the slide, like, just on the down low. And, Kate begrudgingly kind of agrees until she gets a knock on the door where Chad is at. And he's like, what's going on? What are you doing? And honestly, to tell you the truth, that's nearly it. I was going to sit there and say that's it. I mean, there was some stuff with JJ and Jennifer, and, JJ was not there just consoling Jennifer, and, he was blaming himself, not being strong enough, and I'm not going to lie. Oh, also, how did I actually forget that part? Jennifer and Jack were fighting in the beginning. And, he asks her, can you forgive me? And then she slaps him. And I'm sitting there thinking, when she slapped him, I'm just like, so, I guess we're back in the 90s, right? We just went back into the 90s where apparently that's like the thing to do. Listen, I've said this before, and unfortunately I gotta sit there and say this again because I felt some sort of way. Listen, I'm not a fan of anyone putting their hands on anyone. Anyone. Guy putting their hands on a girl putting their hands on a guy. So when I see things like a woman slapping a guy and, he's like, I deserved it. I'm like, you might deserve some of that smoke that she was giving you, but, like, as far as putting hands on you, no. No, you didn't deserve that. I'm not going to really kind of harp on it too much. Let's just sit there and say that I'm not a fan of these slapping scenes. I'm just not, Like, even when I see those, those episodes where it's like, a woman was slapping another woman, I'm just like, really? Like, this is what we resorted to? Like, it's something about that just seems like, whenever they do that, I feel like they just feel like they're entitled to do that. Like, they just forgot about these things called laws. And I get it. It's a soap opera. It's dramatic. This is what generally happens in these shows. But somehow, whenever I see that, I'm just like, there are consequences towards putting your hands on someone, right? Whenever they slap someone, they do that, and then they have that look on their face like, that, yeah, you deserved it. I was like, you're gonna deserve to go to jail. Just throwing that out there, It was a pet peeve of mine, and I really had to sit there and harp on it, and I'm sorry, I just kept it going, but I've never been a fan of those scenes, and I don't think I ever will for real reasons, just for reasons that I just won't get into. But let's just sit there and say that I feel like it's never okay to put your hands on anyone. And yes, now I'm sitting there thinking about it. Yeah, even when the guy sit there and punch another guy and whatever, it's just, it's exactly why I didn't want to get into that conversation. It's something that bothered me, and